when using the aggression and clearance toolkit, the first thing I'm going to do is have my PDF, my aggression and clearance spreadsheet handy, and then I'm going to mount the baseline bar, which represents the baseline. And I'm going to hook the plunger over the front of the bed knife, and I'm going to start by measuring the aggression and the clearance on the trailing end of the cutting unit. In this case, this is a Toro DPA. The trailing end is on this end. And I'm going to put the trailing side of the baseline bar in between the outermost spiders. So I want to take my measurement in between those outer spiders. Okay, now that I have my baseline bar attached, and I want to pivot the bar so that the bar is perpendicular to the front of the bed knife. Then I'm going to insert the aggression fork so that the fork is touching the shaft, and I want the fork resting square, pressing lightly against the face or the edge of the baseline bar. And I also want to make sure that the working edge of the aggression fork, that's this edge here, opposite the thumb side, is lightly pressing against the front of the bed knife. Then I'm going to take my protractor and zero it against the baseline bar. Then I'm going to press the protractor against the working edge of the aggression fork, while I'm making sure that the fork, the V at the end of the fork, is pressed against the shaft, and the working edge of the fork is pressed against the shear point of the bed knife. And I'm getting about 0.8 degrees here. I'm going to record that. Then I'm going to determine the attitude of the bed knife by using the protractor, making sure it's still zeroed, and then press it against the body of, or the mounting surface of, the bottom of the bed knife. I've got 5.9 degrees here. I'm going to record that. Then I'm going to measure the clearance by gently slipping the clearance gauge in between the bottom of the bed knife and the top of the baseline bar. And I'm going to, in this case, I've got a little bit over 50 thou. And I'm going to move the clearance gauge up and down a little bit so that I make sure that I'm measuring the point of the bottom of the bed knife that's closest to the baseline bar. I've got about 52 thou there. I'm going to record that. And then I'm going to make note of the part number of the bed knife. And then I'm going to make note of the position of the fixed roller. In this case, this is a Toro DPA, and the rear roller is what I call the fixed roller, and it's adjustable by adding or removing spacers. So in this case, I have 0 spacers employed. Then I'm going to calculate the BCD by either using the quick reference chart or by going to the website and entering the diameter of the reel, or a approximation of the diameter of the reel, and that 0.8 degrees. Now this is an extended bed knife, and I need to back up a little bit because that 0.8 degrees that we were getting is actually negative 0.8 degrees. This shear point of the bed knife is slightly in front of the baseline. And I know that because if the shear simulate a longer bed knife by raising the fork up, I would see that the angle is increasing, and as I bring the fork back down to touch the shear point, the protractor never goes to 0. If it went all the way to 0, that would mean that the shear point of the bed knife is right at the center line. Since this fork never goes to 0, that lets me know that that 0.8 degrees is a negative 0.8 degrees. I'm going to record all the readings and then do the same thing on the other end of the cutting unit.